set up a deadlift. We want to start with the feet about hip width apart and the toes pointing straight ahead. Stands for a traditional sort of deadlift with a barbell or a trap bar. If we're using a kettlebell, it often helps to go a little bit wider with the feet and point the toes out slightly. So we'll set the deadlift up down the bottom, and there's a few little things we want to keep in mind. So first of all, keeping vertical shins is a big one. So not letting the knees come forward at all, vertical shins, and we want to position the shoulders just over the knees, or you can see just in front of the knees. Everybody's going to have a slightly different setup depending on your height and your limb lengths, but they're the main points you want to keep in mind. Vertical shins, nice flat neutral back, shoulders positioned just over or in front of the knees. From this position, we're going to engage the glutes, start to stand up with this kettlebell, completely lock the hips out at the top, contract the glutes, keep tension in the belly. So imagine someone's going to come and punch you in the belly. We want to brace, shoulders lock back, nice neutral head and neck position. So to put this back on the floor, we're going to cover that distance from standing to the floor purely through hip range of motion. So you can see we're not really letting the knees come forward, we're keeping the shins vertical, and we're covering that distance through the hips. So some common mistakes people often make when deadlifting is rounding out or flexing through the spine. So this is a number one no-no when deadlifting. This is very detrimental to the discs in your spine, and it's something we definitely want to avoid. Always keep a neutral spine and move through the hips. Being too dominant with the knees and the quads. So unlike a squat, a deadlift is really a hip dominant movement. We're trying not to get too much involvement with the knees and the quads at all. So you can see Ella here letting her knees come forward, and she's really doing this movement the wrong way. So she's really ingraining faulty movement patterns, faulty mechanics, and it's not the way the deadlift should be done. Another common one is, if you get you facing another way here, allowing the knees to cave in when deadlifting. This is another big one we want to avoid. It's not going to be good for the hips and the knee joint, and it's generally indicative of weak glutes or weak hip stabilizers, and will often involve some sort of corrective work.